That's great. And for all of our viewers out there, we're going to talk a little bit now about kind of some blue chip areas, up and coming neighborhoods in both areas. We're going to talk a little bit about finance, but my favorite part of the show is the second half. So the second half hours, we're going to be looking at real live properties that you can physically go out and see the next day if you want to call Angela and Nick or Xander and Michael. I think real product to see as opposed to ethereal, 2,000 square foot, 4 bedroom, 2 bath, or 3 bath, whatever. You're actually gonna see these things and be out there with it. So kind of going back to that with Xander, Xander, Michael, what is quote unquote a blue chip community, and what's an up and coming community out by you?
Yeah, Martin, it's interesting. I don't know if we're as, sexy and cool and changing like New York City. These communities out here, all of them are stable. We had, the recession 10 years ago, we went down about 10%, and we've inched back up 2 or 3% in all the communities out here. So it's not like you have any large development or an anchor tenant moving in to a certain area. So I think what you have here is you just have stability and affordability compared to the city. All the towns around here, people always ask, where is the place that I should get a deal, or where's the value buy? The markets are very stable. They don't fluctuate much. I mean, we don't go up a lot, we don't go down a lot. But what we see from people moving out of the city to our area, it's definitely Short Hills and Summit are the first looks. Maybe it's Maplewood in there as well.
Okay.
And then they'll look at that and they'll say, well, geez, the taxes are pretty high. The homes are a little bit expensive. And then they may decide to look a little bit further west. I mean, in our communities, as you move each town, we're a direct train line to Manhattan. So each town you move west affords you about 5 to 10% more in the home, as well as 5 to 10% less in taxes. And so why is that? It's mainly because of the accessibility to the city. So if you were to look at Summit and call that the median sale price around $1 million, and you were to move out to Chatham, it would be about 900,000. You go out to Madison, it's about 800,000, and that just and then every train stop is another 5 minutes. So you go from 40 minutes to the city to 45 minutes to 50 minutes. So there's no doubt that the accessibility to New York out here makes towns more desirable. But I don't think that there's necessarily an up-and-coming town or neighborhood. They're all very stable. I know that's a boring answer. I know you were looking for something that was really shocking.
I appreciate that. I'm from Wisconsin. I grew up in a suburb outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I still have a lot of great friends from my high school. And sure enough, after the recession, when I went there, I was like, oh my God, New York is a disaster. What's going on? And very similar to you, they're like, you know what? We don't have, necessarily the crazy appreciation that you have, but we don't have the downfall either.
Yeah.
So I think that's, there's a time and a place for everything, and I think that would make sense. Is there any kind of like, and I always like to put brokers on the spot here a little bit. What would be a negative about going out there, or why would it be a bad choice perhaps for somebody?
I'm sure, people have read about New Jersey Transit. I would think the reliability of the trains can sometimes be a little bit of a hassle. So you will see people considering alternate transportations that are relying only on the trains. You have bus service in, you can drive to a Secaucus or to a Hoboken, Jersey City, take the path across or take the ferry across. So I would definitely say that it would be the trains. And, we've been, when our Governor Christie was in office 10 years ago, we were really close to passing an $8 billion bill that was going to increase the accessibility to the city via the train lines and the tunnels. And unfortunately, that did not get passed. So we're dealing with, 80 to 100-year-old infrastructure going into Penn Station that will sometimes, instead of a 40-minute commute, it'll go to 50 minutes or an hour. When you have a 9 a.m. meeting and you're running 20 minutes late, that's not ideal. You get a little ticked.
Right. No, I hear you. Although, that's a whole other topic of office and who's going to be going and how often.